Tomorrow, February 1st, at exactly 5:09 p.m. Eastern Time, the full moon reaches its peak in Leo. And I really need you to understand what this means. Because this isn't just another full moon. This is the moment when everything you've been building in private, everything you've been working on in the shadows, everything you've been too afraid to show the world, it all gets pulled into the spotlight, whether you're ready or not. And I know that might sound terrifying if you're someone who's spent your entire life trying to stay small, trying not to be too much, trying to dim your light so other people feel comfortable. But here's what I need you to hear. That version of you, she's done. Tomorrow at 5:09 p.m., Sekhmet, the lioness queen, the Egyptian goddess who bows to absolutely no one, she's crowning you. And once you're crowned, there's no going back to invisible. The Leo full moon happens once a year. But this one is carrying something I haven't felt in a really long time. It's this energy of unavoidable visibility, of recognition that you can't dodge, of the universe saying, I don't care if you think you're ready, it's time. And for 3 specific signs, this full moon isn't just about getting seen, it's about getting celebrated, promoted, elevated, and put on a platform you've been simultaneously craving and terrified of. But before I tell you which 3 signs are about to have their entire world change in the next 48 hours, I need to talk about what's been happening in the lead up to this moment. Because I don't think tomorrow is going to make sense unless you understand what the past 2 weeks have been preparing you for. If you've been feeling a certain way over the last 10 to 14 days, I want you to know there's a very specific reason, and honestly, I've been feeling this too, so I know I'm not alone. It's this weird combination of exhaustion and electricity, like you're so tired you could sleep for 3 days straight, but there's also this buzzing under your skin that won't let you rest. You might have noticed yourself getting more irritable than usual, snapping at people for small things, feeling this low-grade frustration that doesn't seem to have a clear source. Or maybe you've been having moments where you look at your life and think, is this really it? Is this all I'm capable of? Is this as big as I'm allowed to be? That restlessness, that frustration, that sense of outgrowing your current reality, that's not random. That's Leo full moon energy building. Because Leo is the sign of self-expression, creativity, courage, and most importantly, being seen for who you actually are. Not who you pretend to be to keep the peace, not the version of yourself you perform to stay safe. The real you, the version that's too loud, too bright, too much, too ambitious, too confident, too everything. And when the full moon lands in Leo, all of that suppressed bigness has nowhere to hide. It demands to be expressed, it demands to be witnessed. And tomorrow at 5:09 p.m., the dam breaks. Here's what's really happening astrologically, and I think this is going to land for a lot of you. Full moons are always about culmination, completion, and release. They're the peak of the lunar cycle, the moment when whatever was planted at the new moon 2 weeks ago reaches full bloom. And 2 weeks ago, on January 17th, we had a new moon in Capricorn. Capricorn energy is all about structure, discipline, working behind the scenes, building something solid even when no one's watching. It's the energy of putting your head down and doing the work without needing applause. But now, 14 days later, the moon has traveled all the way across the sky to Leo. And Leo says, okay, you did the work. You put in the hours. You built the foundation. Now it's time to show people what you've been building. It's time to step into the light. It's time to stop hiding behind humility and modesty and let yourself be celebrated. And I know for so many women, that last part is the hardest. Because we've been taught our entire lives that wanting to be seen is vain, that celebrating ourselves is arrogant, that taking up space is selfish. But Sekhmet doesn't care about those rules. She never has. In Egyptian mythology, Sekhmet is one of the most powerful goddesses. She's depicted as a lioness, or as a woman with the head of a lion, and she represents solar energy, fire, destruction, but also protection and healing. She's fierce, she's untamable, she's the goddess you call on when you need the courage to destroy what's no longer serving you, and the strength to stand in your power without apology. And there's a specific story about Sekhmet that I think is really relevant to tomorrow's full moon. The story goes that the sun god Ra sent Sekhmet to Earth to punish humanity for their disobedience. and she went into such a powerful rage, such a fierce rampage, that she almost destroyed all of mankind. She was unstoppable, she was terrifying, and when Ra realized she wasn't going to stop, he had to trick her by dyeing beer red so it looked like blood, and when she drank it, she finally calmed down. Now, a lot of people tell that story as a warning, as a cautionary tale about feminine rage being dangerous and needing to be controlled. But I read it completely differently. To me, that story is about what happens when a woman finally stops suppressing her power, when she finally stops making herself small to keep everyone comfortable, when she finally lets herself be as big, as fierce, as dominant as she actually is. And yes, that energy can feel destructive to the systems and people who benefit from her staying quiet, but it's not destructive to her, it's liberating. And tomorrow's Leo full moon is your Sekhmet moment. It's the moment you stop apologizing for the space you take up. It's the moment you stop dimming your light because someone else feels threatened by your shine. It's the moment you remember that you were never meant to be tame. Now, I want to talk about the 3 signs that are going to feel this full moon most intensely. The 3 signs that are about to receive major recognition, visibility, promotions, opportunities, or some form of public acknowledgement that they've been secretly hoping for but didn't quite believe would actually happen. And if you're one of these signs, or if you have significant placements in these signs in your natal chart, I really need you to pay attention, because what happens in the next 48 to 72 hours is going to set the tone for the next 6 months of your life. The first sign is Leo, and this might seem obvious because it's your full moon, but let me tell you why this one is so significant. If you're a Leo sun, Leo moon, or Leo rising, tomorrow the full moon is literally illuminating your entire identity. It's shining a spotlight on who you are, what you've been creating, and what you're here to offer the world. And for a lot of Leos, this has been a complicated few years, because Leo loves to shine, but the world hasn't always felt safe enough to let you. You've been dimming yourself, playing small, staying quiet, maybe even questioning whether you still have what it takes. But tomorrow, that doubt ends. Tomorrow something happens that reminds you, oh right, I'm actually incredible at this. Maybe it's a compliment from someone whose opinion you respect. Maybe it's a project you've been working on that suddenly gets noticed by the right person. Maybe it's an opportunity that lands in your inbox out of nowhere. Maybe it's just this internal shift where you look in the mirror and think, I'm done hiding. Whatever form it takes, the message is the same. You are being seen, and not just seen, celebrated. For Leo, this full moon is about reclaiming your throne. The one you abdicated years ago because you got tired of people calling you too much, too loud, too attention-seeking. Sekhmet says, take it back, it was always yours. The second sign that's receiving major recognition tomorrow is Aquarius. And this one is really interesting because Aquarius is the opposite sign of Leo. So when we have a full moon in Leo, the sun is in Aquarius, and that creates this axis of tension between self-expression and collective contribution, between shining as an individual and serving the group, between being celebrated for who you are and being valued for what you offer. And for Aquarius, this full moon is asking a really important question. Have you been so focused on being useful, on being the support system, on being the one who helps everyone else shine, that you forgot you're allowed to shine too? Aquarius is the sign of the humanitarian, the visionary, the person who's always thinking about the bigger picture, and that's beautiful. But sometimes Aquarius uses that as an excuse to stay hidden, to avoid being vulnerable, to avoid being seen as an individual with needs and desires and ego. But tomorrow's full moon says, you're allowed to want recognition. You're allowed to want your name on the project. You're allowed to want credit for the work you've been doing behind the scenes. And here's what's powerful for Aquarius right now. People are starting to notice the contributions you thought were invisible. They weren't. The work you thought no one was paying attention to, they were. And in the next 48 hours, someone is going to acknowledge you in a way that makes you realize, I didn't have to stay in the shadows. I was always allowed to step forward. The third sign is Taurus. And if you're a Taurus, you might be confused about why you're on this list, because Taurus isn't typically associated with Leo energy. But here's why this full moon is so significant for you. Taurus is the sign of resources, stability, self-worth, and what you value. And Leo is the sign of self-expression, creativity, and being seen for your gifts. And what I've noticed with Taurus placements is that you often undervalue what you're actually incredible at. You downplay your talents, you undersell yourself, you charge less than you're worth. You say yes to opportunities that don't match your level of skill because you don't fully believe that you deserve the big ones. But tomorrow's Leo full moon is shining a light on your gifts, and more importantly, it's showing you what happens when you finally own your value. For Taurus, this might look like a financial breakthrough, a raise, a promotion, a new client who's willing to pay what you're actually worth. Or it might look like someone publicly praising your work in a way that makes you realize, wait, I'm actually really good at this. Why have I been hiding? Sekhmet energy for Taurus is about stepping into your worth without apology. It's about letting yourself be compensated, celebrated, and recognized for the gifts you bring. And tomorrow, the universe is giving you proof that you were never asking for too much. You were just finally asking for what you deserve. Now, even if you're not one of these three signs, you're still going to feel this full moon. Because Leo energy touches everyone, it's the part of your chart where you're meant to shine, where you're meant to express yourself, where you're meant to stop hiding and start being seen. And tomorrow, whatever house Leo falls in your natal chart, that area of your life is getting illuminated. Maybe it's your career, your relationships, your creativity, your home, your voice. Wherever it is, that's where the spotlight lands. That's where Sekhmet crowns you. And that's where you're being asked to stop playing small. Here's what I suggest you do with this energy tomorrow. First, let yourself be seen. I know that sounds simple, but for so many women, this is the hardest thing. We've been conditioned to deflect compliments, to downplay our achievements, to make ourselves smaller so other people don't feel uncomfortable. But tomorrow, practice receiving. If someone compliments you, don't deflect. Just say thank you. If someone acknowledges your work, don't minimize it, own it. If an opportunity for visibility comes up, don't hide, step forward. This full moon is training you in the art of being witnessed without shrinking. Second, express something you've been holding back. Leo is the sign of creative self-expression, and full moons are about release. So tomorrow is the perfect day to share the thing you've been too scared to share. Post the video you've been overthinking. Send the message you've been avoiding, wear the outfit that feels too bold, say the thing you've been keeping to yourself because you're worried about what people will think. Sekhmet doesn't ask permission, she doesn't wait for approval, she just is, and tomorrow you get to practice that level of unapologetic authenticity. Third, celebrate yourself. And I mean actually celebrate. Not in a modest, humble, it was nothing kind of way. In a full, proud, I did this and I'm amazing kind of way. Leo rules joy, pleasure, and celebration. So tomorrow, do something that makes you feel like royalty. Buy yourself flowers. Wear something that makes you feel powerful. Take yourself out to dinner. Blast music and dance in your living room. Whatever makes you feel alive, expansive, and proud of who you are, do that. Because this full moon isn't just about being seen by others. It's about seeing yourself. It's about recognizing your own light and refusing to dim it ever again. And here's what really gets me about this Leo full moon. It's happening at a really interesting time, astrologically, because in 3 days, on February 3rd, Uranus stations direct in Taurus. Uranus is the planet of revolution, awakening, and sudden change. And when it goes direct after being retrograde for months, it's like someone removes the brakes. Things that have been stuck suddenly start moving. Breakthroughs that felt impossible suddenly feel inevitable. And the fact that this is happening just 2 days after the Leo full moon means this: whatever gets revealed, recognized, or celebrated tomorrow doesn't just stay a nice moment, it becomes a launchpad. It becomes the beginning of a completely new chapter. Now, I want to be real with you about the shadow side of this energy, because I think it's important. Leo energy, at its highest expression, is confident, generous, radiant, and inspiring. But at its lowest, it can be ego-driven, attention-seeking, and overly concerned with how others perceive it. And tomorrow, as this full moon activates your need to be seen, you have to ask yourself, am I stepping into authentic self-expression, or am I performing for validation? Am I sharing because it's true to who I am, or am I sharing because I need people to like me, praise me, approve of me? There's a big difference between shining because you can't help it and shining because you're trying to prove something. And Sekhmet energy, true Sekhmet energy, doesn't need to prove anything. She doesn't need your applause to know she's powerful. She doesn't need your approval to take up space. She just exists in her full majesty, and if you celebrate her, great. If you don't, she's still a queen. So as you move through tomorrow, check in with yourself. Is this coming from my center, or is this coming from my wound? Am I expressing, or am I performing? Because one will fill you up and the other will leave you emptier than you started. And here's the other thing about Leo full moons. They can bring up a lot of grief. Because when you finally let yourself be seen, when you finally step into the spotlight, when you finally stop hiding, you realize how much of your life you spent invisible, how many years you stayed small because it felt safer, how many times you silenced yourself because you didn't want to be too much. And there can be this wave of sadness that comes with recognition, this mourning for all the time you lost to fear. If that comes up for you tomorrow, let it. Don't push it down. Don't tell yourself you should just be grateful and move on. Feel the grief, honor it, and then let Sekhmet's fire burn it away so you can step fully into what's next. Here's what I really believe is happening on a collective level with this full moon. We are in a time where women are being called to stop playing support roles in their own lives, to stop being the assistant, the behind-the-scenes person, the one who makes everyone else look good while staying invisible. The Leo full moon is a cosmic permission slip to step forward, to take credit, to let yourself be celebrated. And I know that feels uncomfortable. I know it goes against everything we've been taught, but the world doesn't need more women hiding their light. It needs more women who are willing to be so bright that they illuminate the path for everyone else. And for those of you who've been feeling like you're not ready, like you need more time, more preparation, more proof that you're good enough, tomorrow is the universe saying, you're ready. You've always been ready. The only thing standing between you and the recognition you deserve is your willingness to be seen. And Sekhmet doesn't wait until she feels ready. She doesn't wait until conditions are perfect. She just roars, and tomorrow, it's your turn. All right, if you've stayed with me this far, thank you so much for being here. If this is resonating, if you feel that Sekhmet frequency activating in your chest right now, if you're one of the 3 signs I mentioned and you're already feeling the energy building, please subscribe to this channel so you don't miss what's coming next. Because the astrology this month is building towards something absolutely massive, and I want to guide you through every single shift. And drop a comment below. Tell me, are you Leo, Aquarius, or Taurus? And if not, tell me, what are you ready to be seen for? What have you been hiding that's ready to come into the light? I read every single comment, and I want to witness you stepping into your power. We're all moving through this together, and tomorrow is not just another full moon. It's a coronation. It's the moment you stop waiting for permission and you crown yourself. So let yourself be seen. Let yourself be celebrated. Let yourself take up all the space you were always meant to occupy. Sekhmet is watching, and she's been waiting for you to remember who you are. Tomorrow at 5:09 p.m. You remember. I'll see you in the next one.